This chapter is all about lighting. Perfect. So we've placed our furniture, and the next thing to do is layer in your lighting. We're going to talk through the main considerations, which are your available light in the space, whether that's natural or artificial. Then we'll move into decorative lighting, which are the pretty things in the room, and finally, task lighting. This chapter is not about calling in an electrician and overhauling all of your lighting. It's really about assessing what you have and then figuring out a plan to make that work. Lighting is one of those things that you may not notice right off the bat, but if it wasn't there or if it was done poorly, you probably would notice it. So it's important. Lighting is obviously a very practical thing because it provides the light that you need to have things like conversation or to read a book. But also, lighting can be this glow next to a chair or a little sparkle in the corner. It's like the magic in a room where it brings an ambiance and a feeling that is really hard to come by other things in the space. For the example of our living room, we have these 4 windows, so that's providing the majority of our light throughout the day. Every once in a while, when it's a little darker outside, we'll turn on these recessed lights. That provides us a good amount of coverage. After evaluating your available light, the next thing to think through is decorative lighting. So, in our case, I have this chandelier that we chose to center the room. This is really a design statement. It does provide a good amount of light, but it's also adding a decorative element to the room. As much as possible, I am thinking through design direction. Am I wanting to lean into the architecture of the space? In this space, it's a very traditional room. I could have gone that route with a light fixture. We went with something modern to contrast the more traditional architecture of this space. So one of the important roles that decorative lighting, and specifically lighting that is hung from the ceiling, plays in a room is that it brings your eye up. Lighting really brings down the ceiling, it brings your eye up, and it connects those planes in a room. Relatively speaking, changing lighting isn't that difficult. So if you can bring in an electrician or if you know how to do it yourself, changing out a main light fixture, something decorative in the middle of your room, can absolutely transform a space. So I encourage you, if your light doesn't work for you, find a swap for it. It could really be the thing that really brings your room to life. For this light here, we have a warmer light bulb inside of each of these globes. So I'm more likely to turn this on in the evening. It's replicating a fireside light or candle light. It's warmer in temperature. Let me show you what this looks like. So imagine this in the evenings. I've probably turned off the recessed lights, which are replicating more of a daylight look. And just having this on, maybe a few task lights around the room, it's going to feel really warm and inviting and have a different feel than this room would in the day with recessed lights on and with the shades open, natural light coming in. So again, you may have a light that works for you in your room. For myself, I love this light. I think it's really in line with the design direction I have for this space. Let me turn off this light and we'll move on to task lighting next. Task lighting is really the final layer of lighting to add to your space. We're really talking about fixtures that are providing a smaller pool of light for a specific task. That means table lamps, floor lamps, things like that. So in this room, I know what I need. I'd like 2 table lamps on the right and the left side of the sofa, and then a floor lamp over here by this lounge chair. This is a great comfy chair, so I want to have a nice light right there, easy to reach. So let me go grab the pieces that I have in mind. We'll try them out and see how they work. These were lamps I already had. I was hoping they would work, and I think they really do. Let me tell you why. So they're matching lamps. For me, that feels right because the tables they're sitting on don't match. If I had gone with 2 different lamps, I think then we would have had too many different elements in the room. So something about these being a pair that are identical makes this feel a little more cohesive and coordinated. I know because these are wider lampshades that they'll cast a nice glow from the bottom and the top of the light shade. I also think the fact that they're an ivory color pulls in the color from the rug. It connects to the color of the trim. So again, I'm trying to balance the darker furnishings with the lighter furnishings so that we have a good mix of both. As the day turns to evening and this room gets darker, we lose the natural light from outside. You'll start to see a nice warm glow around the lampshade. That's exactly what I want. So when you walk into a room, when these lamps are on, you'll see these pools of just warm, glowing light. I think that really carries your eye around the room. It makes a space inviting so that you want to move in closer. This is a functional light as well. So for the person that's sitting here or here, if they're working on a task, this is the light that will provide them the light that they need. Now that I've placed these lamps here, I know that the one other place in the room I'd really like to have more specific lighting is over here by this armchair. So I have a floor lamp. I'm going to grab that and see how that works in this particular space. All right. Oh, that's going to be great. So when we lose the natural light from the day, as this becomes evening and the room darkens, this warm light will just cast a nice pool over the chair. So to me, it's as much a sculptural, decorative moment as it is a functional piece for this particular seat. In your space, depending on your furniture plan, this could all look different. So I used a floor lamp here because the side table was too small to accommodate a table lamp. If this was in your space, and let's say the chair was a bit closer to the wall, maybe you opt for a wall light. Really, everything is just dependent on what your specific room is and what makes the most sense practically. So I like this lamp because it's smaller and it feels appropriate to the size of that table. All of this works really nicely together. In this chapter, we've talked a lot about lighting. I hope that now you have a few more practical tools that you can take into your living room. We talked about available light from outside, decorative lighting, and task lighting. So this is an element that can really transform your space. I hope that you find the same thing is true for yours.